To call a bluff or whatever you want to say to the governor's point, the president is also threatening to cut all funding to Pakistan. The latest tranche, about $230 to upwards of $300 million, that had Senator Rand Paul backing the president. Listen to this. This issue and this money, why now, Senator? You just got off the phone with the president. Why now?
Well, you know, I think most Americans would support the president on this. I mean, we don't like to see our money going to countries that burn our flag. In Pakistan, they incarcerate Christians. There's a Christian Asia Bibi. He's been on death row for 5 years. They put Dr. Shakil Afridi in jail for 33 years. He's the guy that helped us get bin Laden. They seemed to look the other way when bin Laden was there for over a decade. So, yeah, I think Americans agree with the president. We ought to quit sending good money after bad.
All right, a former Navy SEAL best-selling author, Rob O'Neill, what do you make of that?
Well, I think Senator Paul was almost three-quarters of the way right. They didn't. They hid bin Laden. It's not like they overlooked it. They were hiding him. The Pakistani intelligence knew where he was. He was living a few hundred meters away from an ISI colonel.
Did American intelligence know that as we were giving
Well, yeah,
all this aid
they
to
knew what that was
Pakistan?
too. There's all kinds of different counterintelligence going on, like the whole stuff with bin Laden's in a cave with a dialysis. When they would hear we would say that when we knew it wasn't the case, but they would think we thought that, so they would laugh at us even though we knew we weren't saying that, if that makes any sense. There's always that kind of stuff going on, but when the rubber met the road, when we were actually going to go after bin Laden and we knew exactly what it was and they gave us the options, and one of the options was to do a multilateral operation with the Pakistanis, it wasn't even off the table, it was laughable. Like, if you want bin Laden gone and never find him again, tell the Pakistan, mention his name. He'll be gone. They're in it for themselves.
Why did we keep giving money? Billions over multiple administrations.
Well, I think part of the problem is that we used to have, at least, is we want to be liked. And we really want to kill the enemy in the nicest possible way. We do now. We both have mutual interests in Pakistan. They have the port of Karachi, where we're going to bring all of our stuff through and get it through the Torkham Gate into Jalalabad, into Bagram, into Kabul, things like that. So we need their support there. They need our support because we give them a lot of money for defense. We train them. We give them armor. We give them planes. We kind of need them. They kind of need us. But when it gets to this point now where they've got the chip on their shoulder, and that's part of the region. It's not uncommon for someone to be a fake tough guy. They're going to do that. If we cut them off, fine. Let's see how they handle it. They're not going to be able to handle it because they need our support with their greater.
Can't they run to the Chinese?
They can run to the
Russians,
Chinese, and that's the problem. Is they might go into more of a Eurasia type commitment than a non-NATO. Ally, which they're going to threaten to do, and China would be all about it because China wants to expand their navy. We've seen it with the islands. They would love to have a base in Pakistan and use part of the ports of Karachi. I mean, it's not as easy as a tweet. It's not as simple as saying, yeah, cut them off.
Speaking of tweeting, what do you think of the back and forth this president's had? He's with North Korea and the leader. I want to get to that in a second, but he's also tweeted about the uprisings in Iran, welcomes them, supports this democratic movement. The Iranians counter and say you're agitating things.
I like that the president can tweet because he can get his message directly out. But I wish he would take, like, some of my advice I have when I talk to people is if you're angry, type that email or text, but give it a few hours before you hit send. Don't be afraid to reread it.
Was it that Lincoln would write nasty letters and put them away?
That's the way to do it. Don't hit send. Keep them in an inbox. And I like to tweet, and I use Twitter as it's fun for me. But like we were talking about earlier, I'm not the leader of the free world, and he sends out a tweet like kafefe. It's a misspell, and boom, it's a new word, and it's retweeted 10,000 times.
So you think you should be a little careful?
A little more careful, because now I disagree with people going just unhinged with, well, you can't joke ever about having military arms, and come on, try doing a 13-month
deployment without a sense of humor and all of that.
Oh yeah, and I really doubt there's a button. But I disagree when you get members of Congress tweeting the dangers. If a missile's launched at San Francisco and we have a matter of minutes, I don't want Congress to get together and try to decide a solution.
I understand what you're saying, Rob, but what do you make of these reports? They're rumors, unsubstantiated and all, but, unnamed sources. It's always risky when I even quote such stories, but that many in the White House are concerned, those are working around the president, that he is agitating us into an accidental war.
I don't think we can be in an accidental war. I think we do have too many good people in place. And President Trump was really good at the beginning to put people like Secretary Mattis, General Mattis, General McMaster, people like that even have disagreements with each other. That's good, though, because you don't get a lot accomplished by always agreeing with the same thing.
So presidents can overrule that.
They can overrule that, but I think that he's, he is smart enough to not be. I would hope. I mean, I've been to war. I don't like war. I hope we never get into war again.
What would war be in North Korea? Obviously, it'd be mutually
destructive. It all depends, because all the pundits, myself included, will say that if it's a conventional war, you get a couple 100,000 dead in North Korea and South Korea. But then also there's the other stuff that we have the capabilities of that no one knows about, where you turn them off. Electronic warfare, stuff like that. So I don't know where that would go. I would hate to see a nuclear war.
Do you think it will escalate to even a conventional conflict?
No. I think what Kim Jong Un is doing is the same thing his father did. He's kind of all in on the fact that if he gets a no-kidding intercontinental ballistic nuclear weapon, he can finally negotiate and become sort of a world power.
But I don't think he's as smart as his father.
Well, he's not. He's raised in a bubble, and he thinks he's a
Yeah.
superhero. He thinks he can change the weather. I mean, that's not. I'm not making that up.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of even the reason you get defections on the north, knowing they'll get shot, is because on their breaks they're scavenging around the place for food because there's nothing to eat there. There's no animals.
What do you
around.
make of the planned talks between the two leaders, North Korea and South Korea?
I think that's a good sign.
And even inviting a couple of North Korean athletes to participate.
I think that's good because that's
You don't
actually.
think it's triangulating the United States, so we can't do anything?
Possibly, but I mean, if someone's talking to the North, that could be at least a good thing, with the realization that maybe you can keep some power and become part of the world community. He'd have to give up the crazy parties, the free vodka, and all the stuff that he does with whatever he does up there, and maybe get a real barber. I'm not sure what's going on with that either.
You know, that apparently you're inspired in that country to imitate that hair.
Yeah, but you got to figure everything's fake there. Everything's government run. Everything's
Yeah, the city shots look like a Lego.
Well, even that masterful, huge hotel they've been trying to build for 40 years, I guess inside the elevators, one of the problems, they don't even go to the top. So I'm not sure if the architecture.
They didn't quite figure that out.
The schooling they do there's not that great. So
how tall?
It wouldn't kill it. Like, you ever seen a picture of the North and the South at night?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's like the lights, that's democracy, and the darkness, that's communism.
It's amazing.
Tell
you know, what I have here, I want to get your thoughts on this, because a lot has come out now on Ayatollah. On Osama bin Laden's son.
Hamza bin Laden.
Right. And
who has conveniently enough been shielded by the Pakistanis and the Iranians. Isn't that weird? Strange bedfellows.
Oh, is that so?
Oh, yeah.
So he's of age and angry.
28, I think, 29, something
What
like
now?
that. Well, I mean, his brother Khalid was angry too on the stairs, and that didn't last very long. It didn't turn out too well for Khalid bin Laden. And if Hamza,
do you think he thinks of that, or does he have the same manic
he thinks of that,
drive?
and he also knows that we have people, men and women, in our intelligence services, that when we find him, especially with this president, he'll get the same fate, regardless if it's a nighttime raid like we did in Abbottabad, or a drone strike, or whatever it is.
You know, there's always this black helicopter crowd that's come out since you killed Osama bin Laden, that he's not really dead, that he was never thrown into sea.
Of course.
What do you say?
Well, I mean, we have the pictures. Part of me now, well, I don't really care. It's hard to be in a position where one person saw something happen and try to convince people.
I think those pictures are eventually going to come out.
They will.
Right?
I think they will. And they're graphic. I mean, I hope they do. What I said in my book, The Operator, is exactly what happened.
All over again?
No, I mean, what, are we going to anger our enemies? I mean, so we show it to some Islamists and they get mad? Like, they're already mad at us. If we showed it to them, I mean, bin Laden's dead. I mean, I can tell you what happened, but I'm not going to get upset if someone doesn't believe me. But I mean, it's just proof that we, meaning America and our allies, a lot of the coalition allies, we have the capabilities to find you. And when we do, we can send men and women in to get you, and we will. And we've proven that we can do it again. I mean, Hamza bin Laden, yeah, I mean, it's tough to hide in a corner and video yourself about how tough you are, but never come out and fight. You know, they're trying to make him something his father was, which they won't.
I know you've told us a million times and written about it extensively, but he tried to shield himself with his own.
Yes,
family.
Osama bin Laden did. When I saw him, when I turned the corner at the top of the stairs, he had his hands on his wife's shoulder, and I mean, it was a very close shot, so an easy shot for me, and he was quite a bit taller than she was, but when I went up the stairs, I assumed he would take the martyr route, like he inspires so many people to do, but he was a weakling.
Did you know in that moment, this is Osama bin Laden?
I knew in the moment going up the stairs that I'm about to find out what a suicide bomber is like in my face, and it wasn't bravery. When we went up the stairs, myself and the guy in front of me, for me at least, it was a let's get it over with. I'm tired of thinking about it.
But you knew as soon as you saw him, that's him.
Yes, I knew it. It was probably give or take a second in between the visual identification. That's him. I remember thinking how tall he was and skinnier than I thought. Shorter white beard. Not the traditional long, dark beard, and I recognized his nose. He's a threat. He's a suicide bomber. They're not surrendering, and that was it.
And the Pakistanis had been harboring him.
Oh yeah, they were mad that we got in. They wrote some articles about us after we left. They started some of the conspiracy theories. They were angry. I mean, we proved to them we're actually a lot better than you.
Amazing. It is an amazing story. You're an amazing man. Rob O'Neill, the former Navy SEAL.